How's it going? My name is Cameron, also known as Venus Theory, and in this video I'm here to show you how you can use PSP Twin L to enhance your drum buses or your drum loops. So PSP Twin L is an absolutely phenomenal sounding compressor. It's not modeled after any one single compressor, but rather sets out to emulate the characteristics of optical and VCA compressors. So Twin L is a great choice to add some punch and weight to your mixes. This could be on your mix bus, on a drum loop, on a vocal bus, or whatever you'd like. In this case, we're going to be using it to enhance a drum loop and make it really upfront and punchy. So let's dive in and get started. Alright guys, so here we are in Bitwig. So like I said, today I wanted to give you some tips on processing a drum mix, a drum loop, or just a bus in general using PSP Twin L. Like I said in the beginning, PSP Twin L isn't really setting out to emulate any one specific compressor, but rather emulate the characteristics of an optical or a VCA compressor. Both of these types of compressors are great on drum loops or drum buses. They're also great for vocal buses or just a whole mix in general. It's a great way to add a lot of punch and glue to a mix or a drum loop. So I've got this quick little drum loop I made here, bounced it out to audio, and it's just a nice clean little drum mix that we can use Twin L on to really bring it up and make it way more in your face. So let's go ahead and take a listen to the break here without any processing applied. So like I said, nice clean little drum mix. We got a nice break going on here, and we can bring this up and make it way more aggressive and punchy using Twin L. So let's go ahead and turn on all of the effects here and take a listen again. And with just Twin L applied, we have this. Which makes it way more punchy, way more aggressive, way more in your face. And then I'm just adding some EQ to enhance a few parts of this drum loop and just bring up some of the top end and some of the low end to make it just that much more aggressive and big and huge, which is really what I was going for here. So let's go ahead and start things off by taking a look at the settings for Twin L. So let's open that up. So I've got this set to VCA mode. This is usually what I'll use for drum loops, especially if I'm making, big, heavy, modern breaks. And then I'm using the blend control here to blend this in parallel. So in terms of my actual settings here, I have the hard knee, I have this set to limiting mode, and I just adjusted the ceiling until it started to sound right. So if we bring the ceiling up here to 0, let's go ahead and just reset everything else. Attack and release, and let's just blend this in all the way. So if we take a listen without anything being applied here, and turn it on, nothing is happening. So let's bring down the ceiling. So that sounded pretty good. Let's go for maybe about 10 dB of gain reduction or so. That sounded pretty good. All right, let's drive up the input, because I really want to smash this. Let's open up the attack to let the transients through. And let's just kind of time the release. So that's looking good. Maybe lift the output slightly. And now we're going to drop this down to 0. So right now, nothing is being applied. Let's go ahead and bring up the blend until it starts to just bring out that bit of character and mojo we want without sounding overly crushed. So there we go, right at about 70% blended, and we're starting to get the really nice characteristics of that super crushed, super compressed drum loop, but we're not overdoing it and making it too obvious. You could go all the way 100% blended in if you wanted to. In this case, it just adds a little bit of that more, natural, not so processed drum loop back into the feel here. So now that we've got this set, we can enhance this with just a couple quick EQ moves. So before the compressor, I've got Precursor 2 up here, and I have the analog mode and saturation mode engaged. So this is just going to add a bit of drive and a bit more grit to this drum loop. So I'm driving up here in pre by about 3 dB and in post by about 3.5 dB. From there, I'm boosting 60 Hertz by 2.5 dB or so, and bringing up just a bit of 25K just to make those high-end bits, the cymbals and the snare, like the very top end of the snare, sparkle just a bit. So without that, and let's turn it on. So just bringing up a bit more character and a bit more bite, especially on the kick. And then after the compressor here, I have E27 SE. I'm just bringing up a bit of drive, maybe about 1 dB or so, a bit of output gain, again, maybe about 1 dB, bringing up a little tiny bit of 28K, about 2 dB, and just a touch of 33 Hertz, maybe 1.75 dB or so, 1.5 dB. So just, again, little subtle lifts, little subtle tweaks to bring it up just a bit more. So without the E27, and with it. So we get this huge, nice, aggressive drum loop going on here, and we can go ahead and do this, and let's bring this up to like a drum and bass type tempo or somewhere thereabouts. Let's do like 160, and we should get a really heavy break that we could use. And without the processing, you know, it doesn't have that same immediacy to it. But once you bring it back in, we have a super aggressive break that we could use for a really modern D&B neurofunk track or whatever. Or, you know, like I said, if we're doing, you know, just a typical rock mix or something like that, this is a great way to make drums that hit super, super hard without a lot of effort. And that's it for this video, so thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. To check out these plugins for yourself or find more information, you can go to pspaudiowear.com.